In this final video, we will talk about the myth of metals. Now, in the Republic, Socrates runs into a problem, and it can be phrased in the form of a question. How do you form a kind of group cohesion among people? Now, if you don't form this, you will risk civil war and people won't cooperate with each other. So Socrates' solution is a kind of nationalism. Well, to create the foundation for this cohesion in a society, Socrates proposes what's called a noble lie, or the myth of metals. In the myth, the earth is the people's mother, so that they are all brothers and sisters, and have something like familial obligations to each other. When they were made, the Creator mixed gold with some, silver with others, and bronze and iron with the rest. This myth explains the class divisions in society and naturalizes people so that they won't rebel at their lot in life. For example, a poor farmer hearing this myth will accept her fate and not rebel against society. Take a moment to compare this myth with the contemporary state of the United States. How close is the myth of metals to our Pledge of Allegiance? Are we also telling our children a big lie about how we all live together harmoniously? I mean, take a look at history. Think about the attempts to get rid of the U.S. history of slavery and bring integration to our public schools during the civil rights era. Isn't this what Socrates is saying? What's the difference, if there is one? Well, the Republic shows a society organized around a single best conception of a good life. That would be like having the USA organized around a single religion to the exclusion of everyone else. The idea is that by focusing on a single aim, people are better equipped to lead better lives rather than watering it down with lots of choices. There are three reasons that follows from Socrates' argument. First, this isn't cultural monism as opposed to cultural pluralism. The argument is that the good life is a thick conception as opposed to a thin conception. A thick conception of the good needs lots of institutional support to be achieved, and this begins with education. If we think of the Amish community, we can see this in action. If we required their children to get high school degrees, in the case of the Amish, then their whole way of life would be ruined. So this means that we want to foster access to thick conceptions of the good so that we limit people's choices. This means that censorship is fine and limited education is okay. Schools should have vouchers so students shouldn't have to go to public schools but could go to charter schools or other schools when they don't want to learn about evolution or science because they conflict with their religious beliefs. However, this approach is anti-democratic. Now, you should know that Socrates does not like democracies. He derides them. And this makes sense if you happen to be right about the best way of life, and all other choices in your mind are just wrong. But what if you aren't exactly right? Also, how exactly is this idea compatible with modern complex society like ours, where we simply can't avoid a plurality of views on the good? Is there room for the expression of an individual in all this? Well, the second reason turns back to our allegory of the cave. Remember, in the allegory of the cave, the image is one of liberation from imprisonment by ignorance. This idea was the one that motivated the Enlightenment and a liberal approach to learning and even liberation philosophers in Latin America. The idea was that we should question everything because this is the only path to truth. And the path to truth is the only way to a good life. Now, this second point may seem to clash with the first, because how is censorship and devotion to a single good compatible with a liberal approach to questioning everything? Well, Socrates reconciles these two aspects in the Republic by allowing only a few people, called the philosophers, to actually question society. But doesn't this approach deny the basic equality of all humans? And we have to ask, shouldn't everyone be allowed to question and not just a few? Well, for his third reason, we have to turn back to Plato's understanding of knowledge. Plato's understanding of knowledge is traditionalist. He holds that what is true is objective and unchanging, and that is what is outside the cave. So education should center on teaching this stuff to those who are smart enough. And so progressivist schools of education, which we will learn about later, will oppose Plato dramatically on this point.